Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Much Ado About Nothing. Sorry about the janky camera. Bear chewed through the power cord of my good camera, so I got the janky backup cam for a couple of days until I get a replacement cord in. But we are heading to Pioneer this week to play some new and improved Soulflayer. We are flaying Pioneer Souls, and this deck looks pretty sweet. So the idea of this deck is we're trying to maximize the potential of Soulflayer. Soulflayer, a delve card that when it delves away creatures from the graveyard, essentially steals that creature's ability. So what we want to do with this deck is fill our graveyard at lightning speed with Otherworldly Gaze, with Stitcher Supplier, with Grizzly Salvage. Grapple with the Past, also pretty helpful because we can mill a Soulflayer and then get it back with Grapple in the Past. So fill our graveyard really quickly with creatures with powerful abilities. If we get some stuck in our hand, we can discard a Champion of Wits, and then we try to build the greatest Soulflayer of all time and use it to win the game. So the nuttiest Soulflayer we can make is exiling Zetalpa Primal Dawn, Nightveil Predator, in a new addition in Fleetfoot Dancer. Fleetfoot Dancer, huge for this deck. Trample, Lifelink, and Haste. If we can get all three of those cards in the graveyard, the end result is our Soulflayer going to be a 2-mana 4/4 flying double strike, Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible, Lifelinking, Hasty, Death Touching, Hexproofer, which is essentially just unbeatable. It's hitting for 8, it's hitting through blockers thanks to Trample and Death Touch, it's gaining its 8 every time it attacks, it can't be targeted, it can't be destroyed, it's essentially unkillable, and we can be doing this as early as turn 3. So that is the goal of the deck. We also have Sylvan Carry added, which ramps us into like our Fleetfoot Dancer. Sometimes we do just like hardcast our cards that are not Soulflayer. That's not our main plan, but it does come up on occasion. So it helps us with ramping, plus it's a backup Hexproofer. If we don't have the Nightveil Predator, Sylvan Carry added is a fine way to get Hexproof. Thankfully, Soulflayer does not steal Defender. That would be a bit of a bummer. So it's another way to give Hexproof. Brazen Bar, mostly removal, but it can give flying. Mana base, pretty typical stuff other than 4 mana confluences, which with Sylvan Carry added is how we can kind of cast a Fleetfoot Dancer on occasion. Sideboard, this is where we get all of our removal, including Nahiri's Wrath, which is kind of hilarious tech for this deck. We can discard a bunch of cards to deal damage to a bunch of things, which not only can wrath away our opponent's board, but another way to get big stuff like Zetalpa into our graveyard from our hand, some counter spells for control, and that is Fleetfoot Soulflayer for Pioneer. That's our Much Ado deck for this week, so let's jump into Pioneer League, see the deck in action. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit with the wrap-up. Looking to pick up some sweet Double Masters 2022 reprints while prices are cheap? Well, you can snag them all from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, by heading over to cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Much Brew About Nothing time. We are trying to flay some souls in Pioneer this week, and could use a black source at some point. Ooh, there's the Soulflayer. Could use 2 black sources at some point. Hopefully this Grapple with the Past in Champion. Like, we can grapple for a land, Champion, discard Dancer. Ooh, man, if we can build... Okay. I think we actually just play this Carry added. Pass the turn. That gives us black mana. Oh, we're not that far away. We're not that far away. If we can build the big Soulflayer, I don't think mono red can beat us. Carry Zev. Opponent passes. Play Blooming Marsh. Champion of Wits. This makes sure we get the Fleetfoot Dancer in the graveyard. Oh my god, and Zetalpa. Okay. I think next turn we win. I think. Please tell me you don't have random graveyard hate mono red. Mono red can't afford to play graveyard hate, right? That's just not a thing. Okay, Chandra, that's fine. That's fine. Sure. Pings us. Yeah, makes some mana. Kills the Champion of Wits. We have bad news for our opponent, though. Opponent gets in, makes a monkey. We will block. Bad news is coming. So we go to 14 temporarily. The bad news for our opponent is we get to green-black, Grizzly Salvage, Brazen Borrower, Watery Grave, untapped, down to 12 temporarily, but Soulflayer with the full set of abilities, Death Touch, Double Strike, Flying, Hexproof, Haste, and Opponent. Scoops it up. Okay, yeah, there's no way mono red's beating that. That is a fully powered Soulflayer, and the fully powered Soulflayer is probably the best creature in Pioneer. Not necessarily easy to get it, but if we do, I don't even know if Mono Red plays Graveyard Hate, period. We bring in Ether Gus. Ether Gus seemed good. But really, I think our main plan is just to do that as consistently as possible. Lifelink's good. Zatalpa's great. We might be able to trim a Predator. Like, if we get Indestructible, we should be fine. Champion of Wits might be a little slow. I wouldn't mind a Fatal Push or two. Something like that. We still got all the graveyard fillers. Trimmed down a little bit on things we want to exile, but I think that's fine. All right. I mean, go Otherworldly Gaze. Opponent. Saga. Passes. Oh, do we shock ourselves? Oh, we do. Yeah. Awkward, but I think we do. We want to at least leave up the ability to Grizzly Salvage. Let's see if we're fast enough. Opponent. Saga. Eidolon. Well, we will Otherworldly Gaze. Mill. Keep the Mana Confluence. Yeah, this is getting painful. Opponent passes. Mana Confluence. I mean, we're committed to our plan. We're committed to the plan. Whether or not it works, I don't know. We're taking a ton of damage, but we do have the Soulflayer. Opponent hits us. Are we better off just Ether Gusting this? Yeah, you know what? We're going to just take it for now. We're going to take it and try to build our Soulflayer down to 12. Skewers us down to 9. Land. Unlicensed Hearse. So they do have Graveyard Hate. Well, now we might be dead. Yeah, that's a huge problem. Huge problem. Yeah. Well, Grizzly Salvage. Take a Blooming Marsh. No Lifelink. Yeah, I think they got us this one. We don't have a way to fill the graveyard. Opponent passes. Night Veil Predator. So we don't get Lifelink. I mean, we can Soulflayer, it just doesn't do anything. Blooming Marsh. I mean, we get Hexproof, I guess. Which is something. I mean, I guess technically this means we're not dead this turn. How we get back into the game? Opponent just dealt too much damage. Opponent untaps. Promenade Ruins. Carry Zev. Maybe if we draw a land that lets us Fleetfoot Dancer. Another Soulflayer. Yeah, now we're just dead no matter what. All right, yeah. Opponent drew the hate cards. Eidolon and Licensers. Good news is we're on the play for game number 3. And hopefully that helps. Oh, it is a bummer they have Graveyard Hate. If you look at the typical mono red deck that sees play in this format, they don't believe in Graveyard Hate. All right, I mean, that's a Soulflayer. Watery Grave, untapped, down to 18. Maybe on the play we'll be fast enough. This Otherworldly Gaze being good would be super helpful. Opponent, Soulscar Mage, Otherworldly Gaze. Well, mill. Keep the Grizzly Salvage. Blooming Marsh, and Sylvan Caryatid. Go. So this sets us up to Grizzly Salvage into Soulflayer if we hit good stuff. Swift Spear. Oh, opponent kept a slow hand. Okay. Goes attacking. We get to block one. All right, come on, Grizzly Salvage. Black-green. Grizzly Salvage. Mill nothing of note. Well, take a Stitcher Supplier. Play a Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Overgrown Tomb tapped. All right. I mean, we just haven't hit anything good yet. That's the issue about it. No Lifelink, no Hexproof, no Indestructible. Runs out of Saga. We do get to mill a bunch more cards. Like, if we just keep milling, we got to hit it eventually, right? It's got to happen. Opponent. Ooh, draws the land too. Light up the stage to draw some cards. I mean, this does put us on a clock. Opponent. Goes attacking. Come on, Stitcher Supplier. Where's our good cards? Mill some cards. Hexproof, but nothing else. Well, green-black. Grizzly Salvage. Oh no. Okay, take a Blooming Marsh. Run out a bad Soulflayer. Wow, we have milled a lot of cards without milling anything helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play the Blooming Marsh past the turn. Wow, none of our good stuff in the top half of our deck is pretty painful. I mean, this Soulflayer does help. Next turn, we could potentially double grapple. Oh, we gotta hit it. We've gone through half of our deck. We gotta hit it eventually. Opponent gonna play with fire. Upkeep to scry for a land down to 11. Scries a land to the top. Takes up the Saga. So we can grapple hit a land, grapple hit a Soulflayer, and hope that gets us to Lifelink in Hexproof and Indestructible. Opponent carries Zev. Opponent passes. We draw land. So, I'll play an island. Grapple with the past. Get back a Soulflayer. Grapple with the past. There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Get back a Soulflayer. We found it. Okay. We made it scary, but we got there. Soulflayer. Boom, boom, boom. Fully powered. Go to combat, and that should do it. Well, we had to dig really deep to find the Fleetfoot Dancer, but we dug deep enough, and we got there eventually, so, all right. Sweet, sweet, sweet. I mean, this feels like a pretty good matchup. We saw in game 2 our opponent can get us if they have the right sideboard cards, but in general, they don't have much graveyard hate, and they are not going to be, they're not going to be the fully powered Soulflayer. This is where you can see the power of Fleetfoot Dancer. The lifelink is huge. The lifelink is really, really, really a big deal. It has some really important abilities that were just missing from the Soulflayer pile before. The combination of haste and lifelink really swings the race against aggro. Look at this board state. If we didn't have haste and lifelink, there's a chance we still just die and get burnt out. Like our opponent can hit us for a bunch of damage with their creatures, then cast burn spells, are going to flip the saga. So there's a chance that even after building the big monster, that we still just die to our opponent's board. But being able to have the combination of those abilities, really, really big deal in these matchups. Well, sweet, sweet. Much brew about nothing time. We got the Soulflayer. We are Soulflaying in Pioneer, playing some Fleetfoot Soulflayer, which pretty big new addition, I think, to Soulflayer archetype. Lots of keywords. Plus, it's a good backup plan if we get the mana for it. I mean, Trample, Lifelink Haste. We have Sylvan Caryatid. We got Mana Confluence. What's possible we just cast it? But really, we're kind of hoping this Stitcher Supplier mills us into some combination of busted stuff to Soulflay away. And that our opponent doesn't have Thoughtseize or Graveyard 8. Those would both be bad. Well, Swamp and Stitcher's Supplier. Okay, we got a Fleetfoot Dancer. That's something. Still need another. Oh, no. Okay, untap land. That's okay. That's okay. Second Soulflayer is fine. I wish we had something with Hexproof in the graveyard. Get in and hit ya. Would you like to kill it? Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Drown Catacombs. Well, counters might also be an issue. Well, play Ottawa. Hit you with the Stitcher Supplier. Let's Sylvan Caryatid. All right, so opponent does have counters. Pass the turn. Well, that's actually kind of a good thing. We still need our opponent to tap down, but now we have Hexproof along with Trample, Lifelink, Haste. The question is going to be, do we ever get to resolve anything? Zatulpa, getting that in the graveyard would be sweet. Get in and hit you. I really don't want to just cast the Soulflayer into all this open mana. I feel like odds of us getting wrecked are so high because once we exile stuff, it's not like we have the option to get it back in the graveyard. All right, well, that's not the worst. And we hit an Otherworldly Gaze. Get in and hit ya. All right, opponent goes to 14. We're making progress. Slowly. Opponent considers. Meals a Schwamp. Opponent finds a Thoughtseize. Well, that's going to make resolving this Soulflayer even more important. Yeah, control can be a tricky matchup unless we have just a nut draw where we like somehow Gaia Reach. Oh boy, this is just full on like Narset prison. Ugh. All right, well, gaze. Graveyard everything. Mana Confluence. Go to combat, hit ya. I think we're going to keep trying to play it slow for now. I mean, opponent is down to 10. Eventually, they're going to have to do something. Like, they're kind of sort of losing to Stitcher Suppliers. I mean, I don't know. They're probably going to wrath at some point, but sort of, like, it's kind of working. Opponent untaps. Pathway and passes. Well, go to combat, hit ya. Opponent goes to 5. Well, Night Veil Predator Part 2. Opponent cracks Fable Passage. Torrential Gearhulk, 4 around in the lock. Okay. I mean, our opponent needs more than that, though. Yeah, opponent counters. And, I mean, they got to find a way to get rid of the Night Veil Predator, or it will beat them eventually. Opponent goes to combat. Gets in with Torrential. All right, so opponent's got to do something here. Down to 13. Yeah, wow, yeah, Henny's expertise. Okay. Well, we mill a million cards. We untap. I mean, we have to go for Soulflayer. I don't know if it's going to resolve, but we got to go for it. You, and I guess it doesn't matter. Come on, Magic Gods. Oh my goodness, resolves. Okay, that's a card. That is a card. That is a Soulflayer with Death Touch, Double Strike, Flying Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, and Vigilance. And haste. Yes! Taking down the control deck. Okay. Wow. The pressure with Stitcher Supplier plan, I guess it worked. All right, Spell Pierces in, Mystical Disputes in. Maybe Murderous Rider? We can go down, what? Brazen Borrower. Maybe we don't Murderous Rider. Killing a Planeswalker could be relevant. And then maybe we just trim a Predator. We saw our opponent have answers to Hexproof. So we really want Indestructible and Hexproof and other abilities. So maybe we go down, actually, a Dancer. Lifelink, Haste, Vigilance. Maybe something like that. Actually, maybe the Hexproof is more important. In this, so Dancer's great against creature decks, against aggro decks, but against control, Lifelink and Trample don't seem super relevant. Well, I mean, we're keeping this. The other risk here is that our opponent probably has Graveyard Hate now. And also Thoughtseizes. Everyone's got Thoughtseize, though. It is Pioneer after all. Who doesn't have a Thoughtseize? I mean, except for us, we don't have Thoughtseizes. But otherwise, Overgrown Tomb tapped. Go. Opponent, Island, and even more Thoughtseizes. That's a lot of Thoughtseizes. Takes Grapple with the Past. All right, opponent passes. Well, play Botanical Sanctum. I think we got to do this now while your opponent's tapped out. Grizzly Salvage, or tapped down. Yeah, we'll just take Mana Confluence. Ship the turret. So we don't have Hexproof yet. Well, opponent's down to 4 cards, which is something. Watery Grave, untapped. If they play Narset, we probably get a Soulflayer. Oh, geez, go blank. All right, that's bad. That's very bad. Oh, double Thoughtseize into go blank that is our nightmare. That is our nightmare for the Soulflayer deck. Hi. All right. Well, we will Grizzly Salvage again. Champion of Wits. Blooming Marsh, go. Yeah, our opponent's got the defense. They don't want to get Soul Played. We managed to get their last game, but this game I am not as hopeful. Opponent cracks the Fabled Passage. Having to run out the Soulflayer without any protection is tough. Callie, jeez, keeps getting worse. All right, so now we draw Mystical Dispute. Well, 1, 2, and 3. Champion of Wits. This has just been a pile of hate cards. Sylvan Carry added Mystical Dispute. Well, okay. Maybe if we get another turn, we got a shot. Opponent untaps. What do you got? 4 mana. Henny's Expertise. Jace Vryn's Prodigy. So opponent's tapped down, which I think means we counter the Jace. The problem is I'm not sure this Soulflayer wins here. Not sure it actually wins. I mean, it's not bad, but I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. Haste, Hexproof, Lifelink, Trample. The problem is this Kalitas. I mean, I guess we attack. This is a window we could get rid of the Kalitas. Opponent, gonna double block. Now the question is gonna be, can we find a way to reassemble through just infinite hate cards? Opponent. Well, we're going to need some ways to dig through our deck, I guess. Opponent gets in. We got nothing going on at the moment. Opponent passes. Well, Grapple with the Past isn't the worst. Oh no, you got another counter. Opponent may or may not have a counter. Well, we get a Watery Grave, play a Blooming Marsh. Mill nothing of note. Pass the turn. Gets in with the zombies. Down to 15. Not looking great. Well, we will attempt to Otherworldly Gaze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. And mill a couple. So we're drawing nothing. Our plan now is to try to get the Champion of Wits, I guess. Not even sure that's going to be enough at this point. I mean, it's something. Opponent plays a land, gets in, hits us. Down to 10. So we're going to 8. Well, we'll see. Opponent passes. There's a Soulflayer for the future, maybe. Champion of Wits. Oh, we're going to 7? I guess it doesn't matter at this point. We do have a painful mana base in this deck. Champion of Wits comes back. We get to draw some cards. We get to discard some cards. Discard and discard. I mean, we got a game plan. Opponent has removal. So our hope is that we can grapple into a Fleetfoot Dancer. I don't think we have any left, though. Yeah, we might just be dead here. Opponent gets and hits us. To 3, we untap. Well, 1, 2. Grapple with the past. Get back. Mana Confluence. All right, we'll see. Soulflayer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. What's our opponent's last card? That's a real question. Wow, it was a drowned in the lock. Okay. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we're not literally dead. We go to 1. We go to 1 and we hope our opponent whiffs. Double strike flying Indestructible Trample. It would have been a lot easier if our opponent's last card was not that counter. Double Indestructible Soulflayer would have been really good. What does our opponent find? Oh no. If we win this would be very impressive. Wait, we got GG'd? And what? 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 Okay. Well, our opponent had all the hate cards in the world, and they have 3 turns, though. We can't really attack. I mean, I guess we're getting back the Champion of Wits, but still. Like, we can't attack because then we just died to the zombies. I don't think our opponent was dead there, but considering how tough that matchup is, we will take it. No questions asked. Well, sweet, sweet, sweet. Much about nothing time. We are drawing a lot of lands in Pioneer. We're trying to Soulflay fools. Do we keep this? I think we actually do. It's good at filling the graveyard, and double mana confluence means we can actually cast some stuff that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. Oath of Nissa, so mono green. All right, we're gonna have to build a big Soulflayer pretty quick. Mono green can go off. Do they mull to 5? 6. Stitcher Supplier or Otherworldly Gaze. I guess this can attack, but technically, if we mill everything and draw a Soulflayer, you know what? Let's just Stitcher Supplier. That's fine. Stitcher Supplier, mill. All right, we got Hexproof. That's a start. Nightveil Predator, Hexproof, Death Touch Flying. Not a bad keyword soup. Sylvan Caryatid. We might have to hold on to this Ottawa. Yeah, let's just Mana Confluence and Sylvan Caryatid. Chip the turn. Oh, we just need to find the Soulflayer. We needs to find the Soulflayer. Opponent trying to. Oh, so they're ramp. Okay. So opponent's like mono green ramp. Maybe Gruul or Simic, but mostly green. Opponent passes. Well, let's Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard. 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 Mill 'em all. Champion of Wits. Well, let's continue to kill ourselves. Play Champion of Wits. Ouch, ouch. Yeah, champion. Loot. Where's our Soulflayers? There's a Soulflayer. That's what we wanted to see. Yeah, discard a land. I mean, we can make a pretty nice Soulflayer next turn. We'll see. We'll see if it's enough. We'll see what crazy thing our opponent can do with a lot of mana. Breeding Pool untapped. Something huge. Cavalier of Thorns. Well, that's a problem. That's actually big enough to... That's actually just straight up big enough to block our Soulflayer. Well, I guess we're going to have Death Touch. So it can't block very well, but it doesn't have Indestructible, so it's still an issue. All right. We need to get Zetalpa in the graveyard somehow. Grapple with the past. Well, okay. 1, 2. Grapple with the past. Okay, there's Zetalpa. That's what we wanted. That is what we wanted. Okay, get back a Watery Grave. Play Soulflayer. Okay, this is a good Soulflayer. Soulflayer. This is like max Soulflayer. Zetalpa, Fleetfoot Dancer, Nightveil Predator, any random thing. Yeah, this is a monster. We build a monster. Death Touch, Double Strike, Flying Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample, Vigilance. We'll play the tap land. And here it comes. Hit you for 8. They could have something like Ugin. Wow, opponent's just gonna cash it in. Interesting. They don't even save much damage. They save a point of damage. I mean, I guess this makes sense if our opponent untaps and plays Ugin. If they untap and play Ugin and just sweep the board, then all of this makes sense. Like, you might as well get your Cavalier in the graveyard. You can get the land back or whatever. If they don't play Ugin, that doesn't make as much sense. Oh, are we going to get Ugin'd? Ugin's such a depressing way to lose. I'm fine with losing. Losing to Ugin, though. It makes the whole rest of the game feel like it didn't happen. That's what I don't like about Ugin. Oh, they're casting a creature spell. Sylvan Primordial. Okay. I mean, so I guess this lets our opponent chump block for a while. They get another land. Opponent passes. Well, we'll untap. Zatalpa, that would have been better in the graveyard. We can't win this turn. All right, let's grapple with the past. Get back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just get back Brazen Borrower. Go to combat, attack, yeah. I mean, opponent does not have a lot of time to find an answer. They need this Ugin quick. Opponent takes it. What do you got? Untaps, please don't kill us. Opponent's got all the mana. 2 cards, what are they? 8 mana. They do have an Ugin. Okay, I assume our opponent did they just top deck the Ugin? That is incredibly brutal. And they get to keep the Primordial? Yeah. Well, I don't like where we're at now. That Ugin is very, very bad for us. Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard. We'll keep the Grizzly Salvage. I mean, we're gonna have to get lucky. There's no other way about it. Opponent passes. We'll play Ottawa past the turn. So we need to fill our graveyard. We need to get haste, and we need to find Soulflayer. And then there's some chance. Hopefully our opponent's about done with stuff now that they've cast him. Really? What is this hand? Oh, geez. Wow. Well, that is a very excellent ramp hand. I will give our opponent credit for having all the good ramp cards in the same hand. Grizzly Salvage. It's a whiff. Oh, we got Hexproof in the graveyard. Otherworldly Gaze. Yeah, opponent is not even fizzling a little bit. Graveyard. Keep the grapple. Opponent, gonna exile our land. We got a lot of Soulflayers at the bottom of our deck, apparently. Opponent passes. So we draw the grapple with the past. Land untapped. Grapple with the past. I mean, we gotta hit him eventually because there's not many cards left in our deck. I'll take Champion of Wits. Pass the turn. 20 cards left. 3 of them are Soulflayers. We have the full combo in the graveyard. Please tell me you don't have more big things. Opponent bolts us down to 21. They gotta be done. They gotta be. Apparently our opponent is never done. All right, Sylvan Primordial. The funny thing is, even after all of this, if we hit Soulflayer, we win. Otherworldly Gaze. Graveyard. Top. I mean, that's Soulflayer. I think this means we still win. Our opponent has cast 100 mana of broken things. Unless their last card is like a counter spell or something. Opponent passes. Well, Soulflayer. Draw it. Cast it. Zatalpa, Dancer, Night Veil Predator, and whatever. And I think this should do it. Combat, Double Strike, Flying, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible. Because the thing is, they can block as much as they want, but it doesn't matter because of Death Touch and Trample together. So they can block with their entire team and they still die. We ping, the rest goes through to phase. Double Sylvan Primordial, Ugin, and more. And our opponents, they're dead. Ping, hit ya, double strike, kill ya. Wow. Our opponent has like 40 spells of bombs, and it didn't matter. All right, that was good. We'll bring in these Ether Gusts, those seem fine. And I guess that's about it. Ugin is annoying, I will admit. Spell Pierce is hit or miss. It's good if we have it early and can hit a ramp spell, but it gets a lot worse as the game goes along. What are we cutting? So these are like our best hits. Brazen Borrower is pretty meh. By the time our opponent has stuff to bounce, it's too late for it to really matter. I guess we just do a little trimmage. Maybe something like this. Yeah, let's try it like that. Bring in the Ether Gust. Run it like that. I mean, it worked. That's a power Soulflayer. Somehow, some way, through our opponent just doing the most busted things, we got I don't think we can keep this. this. We're gonna mulligan. We got all of our big stuff in hand. This is better. Dancer to the bottom. Dancer for money. Opponent passes. We don't have blue mana. Well, Blooming Marsh, go. Well, we're trusting this grapple with the pass is gonna be helpful. Opponent. Saying to Mavugan, and ramp spell number 1, Sylvan Caryatid. Well, we would have rather had that in the graveyard. Beseiju, go. Well, we could start grappling. That's helpful. If we get really good grapples, so we could grapple, hit a blue source, otherworldly gaze. We need like a blue-black source, but there is a way where we could possibly... Oh, all right, that's going to make it harder. Yeah, Graveyard Hate is a problem. Although our opponent's got to get the timing right. Grapple with the past. Get a mana confluence. Well, that's the land we needed. Well, actually, not exactly. Mana confluence. And how do we get around the Soul Guide Lantern? That's the real question. They're going to start casting big things and blowing up our lands. How do we get rid of the Soul Guide Lantern? Unclear what our opponent's tanking about. I mean, if we hit another mana confluence, we can just cast Fleetfoot Dancer. So the issue we have is we're on the Ugin clock. Because as we saw in the last game, once our opponent gets to Ugin, that can deal with our Soulflayer, even fully powered. Another land that can make 2 mana. This deck has a lot of Ancient Tombs. I mean, this one's late game, but Explosive Vegetation. Grapple with the past. Get a Soulflayer. So we can play a Soulflayer, but it's just a 4/4, which isn't especially helpful. I think we're on the hope our opponent doesn't have it planned. Otherworldly Gaze. The problem with this gaze is it's definitely going to make our opponent crack this Graveyard Hate. Well, they didn't. In that case, I think our opponent done messed up. Yeah, so, I mean, this is not the greatest Soulflayer of all time, but it's actually, we gotta do it this way. So it's not the greatest Soulflayer of all time, but it is a Soulflayer. And it's not the worst. We did get as a Tulpa. I mean, flying, double strike, trample, vigilance, indestructible. Those are all things we like. Pass the turn. This doesn't mean we're good though, because our opponent can definitely just play huge, busted things. They have all the manas. Ugin could be coming. All right, here comes something huge. Creature though, so it's not an Ugin yet. Sylvan Primordial. All right, well, see if we can find a land. Graveyard. Yeah, we'll keep the other 2. Put on top. Put on top. This deck makes it hard to cast anything, that's for sure. Opponent, Breeding Pool. See if they sack the Soul Guide Lantern this time, or if they keep waiting. If they don't, we get to make another Soulflayer, although none of that beats an Ugin still. Still not doing it. All right, well, I mean, 1, 2. We'll just keep our graveyard empty for our opponent. We'll do him a favor. Soulflayer number 2. Go to combat, attack ya. Well, the question's gonna be, does our opponent have an Ugin? Opponent takes it down to 12. Play the mana confluence, pass the turn. I mean, if they have an Ugin, they get us. Come on, land. Tapping a insane amount of mana. All right. At this point, I think we can safely concede. They always got it. They always got the Ugin. I kind of wish this was a negate. I wonder if a negate's better. I mean, in this matchup, negate would be better. I guess our opponent just knew, like, they had Ugin in hand, so what do they care about? What do they care about anything? What does anyone care about anything? I mean, that is how Ugin works. That is how Ugin works. Like, Ugin just, we did a lot of work. We fought through the Graveyard Hate, and then Ugin just, it all went for nothing. And that is Ugin's MO. I don't think we can keep that. Ouch. This hand would be good if we had another land, but oh no, we're just mulliganing into oblivion. Come on, Soulflayers. We'll keep bottom and bottom. This hand's not fast. Definitely not fast. Overgrown Tomb, go. No Soulflayers, nothing good in the graveyard. Opponent plays a forest and has yet another Graveyard Hate spell. Well, Blooming Marsh and Sylvan Caryatid. We might be on the hardcast stuff plan this game. That might be where we're at. Although at least Scrabbling Claws requires our opponent to... Oh, it only gets 1 card? Yeah, it's not that good. Yeah, let's grapple with the pass. See if we can hit a land. Yeah, I think we got to take the land, unfortunately. Take the land, play the carry added. I mean, somehow we are out-ramping our opponent. We don't have anything to go with it, but we have way more mana than the ramp deck. We can potentially beat a Ugin this game, too, if we can get there fast enough. Opponent does some cultivating. We need a good Grizzly salvage, or a threat off the top. Another land. Well, Grizzly salvage. None of these cards do anything, unfortunately. Wow, there's no way we're ever casting this, right? Yeah, that was pretty much just a straight up whiff. And pass the turn. Still getting over the COVID. Opponent, another land that can make 2 mana. Yeah, not feeling very confident at this point. The Grizzly salvage was about as bad as it can be. Opponent, growth spirals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think we can counter that. I think we got to try to counter something better than that. The problem is we just have no pressure. Literally none. Oh, God. Okay. Sylvan Carry added. Okay. Yeah, this is not how the deck's supposed to work. You're not supposed to just play every Sylvan Carry added and try to hard cast this Halpa. That is not even a little bit close to the game plan. Yeah, and the problem is our opponent, all their stuff blows up lands. So the odds of us actually hardcasting Zetalpa is very minimal. Opponent is his Pilgrimage. I mean, our hope is that our opponent just doesn't have it. Traditionally, that is a ramp deck problem. Sometimes you don't have it. Sylvan Carry added. All right. I mean, if we draw a land, I think we're going to slam Zetalpa and just hope. Ether Gust. Wow, I wish we had a clock. Pass the turn. What an awkward game. All anyone has done is play Sylvan Carry added. The problem is our opponent just has home run top decks that we know, and they have so much mana, this Mystical Dispute's not going to do anything. Cavalier of Thorns. Well, we might as well Ether Gust it. Opponent puts it to the top and passes. There we go. Just how we drew it up. Who's the ramp deck now? Mono green ramp. Who's the ramp deck now? Oh my God. All right. Backup plan assembled. Who needs our graveyard? Who needs it? That's how you beat Graveyard 8. You just draw all the carry edits and Zetalpa them. It could work. The nice thing about Zetalpa is it's 8 mana, so it doesn't actually lose to Ugin. It's so expensive that Ugin can't get it. About it. Well, there's the Ugin in the graveyard. We got even more. Also an Ugin. Oh, jeez. Oh, they must have just top decked that. Oh, yeah, that's not good. And they get a World Breaker. Okay. Lightning bolts our face. We draw another one. Well, okay. Backup plan still going. Attack the Ugin. We gotta at least knock it down a little bit. Opponent blocks. Now, trample over at the Ugin. So we know our opponent has World Breaker. They can get back something. Gonna get back a Cavalier of Thorns. Zetalpa? I can't believe this deck is running this way. This is like the least likely way for this deck to play. Oh, I'm an idiot! We just wanted one in the graveyard. We just wanted one in the graveyard for Soulflayer purposes. Sometimes you gotta do it on hard mode. It is legendary though. For some reason I was thinking we could have 2 of these, but who plays the Tulpa? I mean, I guess I should just assume. If it's a creature that's been printed in the last 5 years, that's probably legendary. What isn't legendary these days? We are dead now though. Not because of our Zetalpa play. Well, maybe a little because of our Zetalpa play. Opponent just has so much mana, this Mystical Dispute doesn't really matter. There's some chance we get like the second spell, but it really doesn't matter. Opponent blows up a land. Yeah. And then they get to Cavalier. They got the Ugin going. Well, we got the bad one out of the way. We got the horrible running out of the way, and we faced the dirty Ugin player. I'm honestly surprised at how consistent our opponent's deck played, considering it doesn't really seem to be drawing cards. They're just kind of YOLOing it, but it's working for them. Soulflayer? Otherworldly Gaze. That doesn't do anything. All right. Yeah, now the Ugin, I mean, we're dead in a bunch of ways. No Soulflayers. Sometimes you just hardcast the Tulpas. Twice, even though they're legendary. Well, we'll get them next time. Much brew but nothing time. We are mulliganing. Flaying souls. Attempting to flay souls. Oh, we're gonna keep this. Oh. This hand's really nice if we draw land. If we don't draw land, then, oh, please don't. Come on, Stitcher Supplier. Be nice. Be nice. Mill the non-lands, leave the lands. Okay, if we draw land, this hand's kind of insane now. Zatalpa and Night Veil Predator. Oh, no Thought Seizes, no... Okay, Rakdos. Land, maybe? No. Okay, well, yeah, hit ya for one. The problem against Rakdos is they do have Graveyard Hate and they do have Thought Seizes for days. Blood Tithe Harvester. Would you like to kill our Stitch? Oh, no. Okay, we will pass the turn. Oh, they even play... Oh, they play main deck Graveyard Hate a lot of times, too. Yeah. Boo. Well, this was the risk when we kept the hand. This hand is the if we draw land, nut draw, and we did not draw the land. Oh no. Oh no, and then this oh, we're done. We're done. Done, diddly done. Yeah, they get to flip the Trespasser. They get to go attacking. They get, oh, we had such a good graveyard too. You know the Stitcher Spire is going to mill lands for days now. Just one of those games. I mean, that was the risk when we kept this hand. 2 lands milled. Nothing good in the graveyard anymore. Oh my God. Yeah, we're so dead. Land? It actually doesn't matter though, because we're just dead on board. All right, well, 1 land, 1 keep. Sometimes it works. Most of the time that happens. I will defend that keep though. We were on 6. Are we gonna try Nahiri's Wrath? Can that actually be good? Is that possible? You know what, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? We need some way to kill our opponent's stuff. Graveyard Trespasser is a good card. That's just a really good Magic card. As much as it's a bummer to get blown out by it, I do like Wizards randomly stapling Graveyard Hate on playable cards. I think that's pretty healthy. I like it. I don't like it as much right this second, but in general, I like it. Let's try something like this. See if this sweet Nahiri's Wrath tag can come through. Oh, that was so close to being good. The problem now is, you know, a bunch of go blanks are coming in, even more discards coming in, and this is gonna get really tough. Well, we're keeping it. There's ways that this could work if we don't get hit by too much discard. Watery Grave tapped. I mean, in theory, end of turn, Grizzly Salvage, untap, Soulflayer, win. Would have rather had this Fleetfoot Dancer be in our deck, but man, a Confluence, go. Opponent, Blightstep Pathway, Blood Tithe Harvester, looks familiar. Well, let's do some Grizzly Salvaging. Take the land, mill the rest. Did not find a... another Fleetfoot Dancer. Well, Blooming Marsh, go. Oh, we're gonna get go blanked. We're gonna get go blanked, and it's gonna hurt. Opponent, land, Graveyard Trespasser. Okay, well, we get another shot at it with this Grizzly Salvage. They're getting the Zatalpa. Oh, we still missed. Well, take the land. I think we're all in on this Soulflayer at the moment because our graveyard's going to get exiled. So I think we got an Otherworldly Gaze upkeep. This does mean we don't get to Fleetfoot Dancer, but Otherworldly Gaze, we just got to find Soulflayer. Well, graveyard. Draw Soulflayer, Stitcher's Supplier. Well, we can play it. Mill some cards, play a tap land. Oh, well, in this case, I think we just got a little unlucky. We made it, 26 cards into our library without finding a Soulflayer. That's unfortunate. Opponent gets in, eats Zatalpa, unfortunately. Well, we will block. Well, there's a Soulflayer. Oh my God, another. This is an exact replay of last game. Like literally exactly the same cards. Opponent passes. We draw. Grapple with the past. Well, I mean, we got to go for it. I don't know if this is going to be enough. Grapple. Get back Soulflayer. But it's not enough, right? We can get Hexproof. Yeah, they ate all those Atalpas. Ugh. Yeah, this might just be a really bad matchup. So much main deck graveyard hate. So all we get is Hexproof, Death Touch, Flying. That's not even good. All of our Fleetfoot Dancers are in hand. Yeah, we needed to mill better off that grapple. Maybe it would have been better to just play the Fleetfoot Dancer. This is the riskier line for sure. But if we don't get a Soulflayer now, they're just going to eat like we've already seen them eat all of the good stuff from our graveyard. Oh, that second Graveyard Trespasser was brutal. Brutal. I mean, I guess we cast it. It's so bad though. It's so bad. Actually, are we just dead anyway? 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're just dead through Soulflayer. All right. Yep. Graveyard Hate. It's good against Soulflayer. Who would have guessed? Brutal. It is a little unfortunate that our opponent had 2 Graveyard Trespassers both games, and it took us going through half of our deck to find a Soulflayer. So I think we got a little bit like of bad runs, but still, like, they have Gold Blinks, they have Thought Seizers, they have Graveyard Trespass. They just have a main deck full of stuff that's good against us, so much brew about nothing time. We have Soulflayer, so we will keep. We do need another black source, I guess, but I mean, unfortunately, both Zetalpas in hand. Gonna need more ways to fill the graveyard. That's probably the biggest thing. Blooming Marsh, go. But it's hard to pass up Soulflayer with a hand that can fill the graveyard. Ugh, all right, well, there's a black mana. Botanical Sanctum. I think we just pass. Is there an argument to grappling now? The problem is if we grapple now, our opponent's probably going to know what we're doing. Problem is if we don't grapple now, we could get countered. Grapple with the pest. You don't want to counter this. It's bait. Well, they had Spell Pierce, so they could have countered either way. So opponent's probably Mono Blue Spirits. Ugh. Champion of Wits is a pretty good draw. Play the Swamp. Yeah, this is going to let us get these Zetalpas in the graveyard, which is sweet. Yes, we will draw and discard. Oh. Yes. Okay, that we like to see. Well, the question's going to be, can we actually resolve this Soulflayer? Our graveyard's in good shape. Go to combat. We're not just gonna run it out, I don't think. Hit ya. We also don't have Hexproof yet, which is annoying. Opponent. Rattle Chains. Yes, take place a lot of counters. Opponent goes to combat, gets in, hits us. It would be nice if we could draw something other than Soulflayer we could cast. Opponent passes. Another Soulflayer. Well, go to combat, hit ya. I think we're just going to play a bad Soulflayer, not exiling our graveyard. This is probably counterintuitive. All right, opponent has the Geistlight Snare. That's fine. Opponent untaps. Next turn, I think we have so much mana that I think we can play around most of our opponent's counters. I just wish we had Hexproof. That's the issue. Grizzly Salvage. We'll play Mana Confluence. Grizzly Salvage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we take Watery Grave, actually. Take Watery Grave. Next turn. Go to combat, hit ya. Opponent takes it. Next turn is the turn where hopefully we can Soulflayer even through counters. Shackle, guys. All right. Well, I mean, next turn's the turn we're going for it. Opponent combat gets in hit. Opponent's gonna need a lot of counters, like handfuls of counters. I don't think any one counter stops us. Hopefully. 1, 2, Soulflayer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, come on. So we should be able to pay for any one counter. We need this to resolve. I mean, if this resolves, we win. Oh my god. Double strike, flying hexproof. Lifelink, Trample, Vigilance, Indestructible. Yes, that's what we wanted to see. And I don't think there's a way our opponent can beat this now. That is the best possible Soulflayer. Like, that's what we're trying to set up. When you get the full setup with Soulflayer, it is, oh my god, it's so good. So now we're gaining 8 a turn. Our opponent can interact with this. It's back on defense. It is flying. Like, our opponents, they're done. They're done. If you get this set up, very few things actually can stop it. Yeah, opponent scoops it up. That's the power of the Soulflayer. And we played it slow, but it kind of paid off. We managed to just make enough land drops that we could pay for a lot of the counters. Fatal Push seems good. Mystical Dispute seems good. Nahiri's Wrath? Spell Pierce? The question is, what are we cutting? So Indestructible is a little meh in this matchup. Brazen Borrower doesn't seem super necessary because our opponent's not going to have any. If we get Hexproof, they're not going to be able to kill our thing. Although, I guess Indestructible still does matter in combat. On second thought, maybe we trim like a Stitcher Supplier, a Champion of Wits. Maybe we just generally trim cards, bring in some counters, bring in some removal. Hexproof does seem good against our opponent's deck. Maybe something like that. Spell Pierce could be okay. Nahiri's Wrath seems hard to resolve. We don't really want to discard our hand and get it countered. That seems bad. Yeah, let's try it like that. Just general trimmage. Mystical Dispute's big. That potentially lets us Soulflayer and count. Wow, it's a lot of Fleetfoot answers. and only one land. Yeah, we got to mulligan that. Okay, this is fine. We'll put a Predator to the bottom. Well, we can fill the graveyard, which is nice. Opponent, Mausoleum Wonder. Blooming Marsh and Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. All right, didn't mill anything too helpful. Opponent, land. Oh, all right, opponent's off to the fast start, which is bad news. Gets in, hits us, sure. You know, play Watery Grave. Grizzly Salvage. Wow, opponent just lets it go. Fleetfoot Dancer, I guess. Pass the turn. We're pretty far behind though. Yeah, we're in a pretty sketchy spot. Not a fan of where we're at currently. Ascendant Spirit, Grows the Wanderer, Faceless Haven. We're just kind of losing to the battlefield. We need to draw Soulflayer like now. Predator. Well, play the land. Ooh, pass the turn. Yeah, I think we might be dead here. Opponent levels up the Ascendant Spirit. That's just so much damage. Could not find Soulflayer. Another land. Jeez. Mystical Dispute. I expect our opponent can probably counter back. Yeah, this is a much more aggressive hand for our opponent. Opponent lets it go. Leaving up a counter for next turn. Gets in, hits us. I mean, we're just dying in every possible way. Opponent hits us. I mean, we can try to Fleetfoot Dancer. Down to 5. We're going to go to 3 to do it. Well, I mean, we got to try. I'm not convinced this is going to work, but Fleetfoot Dancer, hard cast. All right, it resolves. Hit you with the Fleetfoot Dancer. We go to 7. We're still dead though, right? Level this up, and we die. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a much more aggressive Spirit start. Double Lord, double 1-drop. That's gonna get the job done. Especially if we don't find our removal or a Soulflayer. We're also on a mulligan. All right, we're on the play for game 3, which should be good. If we can get the fast Soulflayer, that should win. We saw that in game 1. Like, there are unbeatable Soulflayers. All right, we're gonna keep this. We got the Soulflayer, although, you know what? Let's just do this. Actually, let's pass. If our opponent counters Otherworldly Gaze, I think we're okay with that. Opponent Island. Otherworldly Gaze. Would you like to Spell Pierce? No. Now, Graveyard. That's a pretty good Predator already. Graveyard. We need a land. Untap. Play Beseiju. Let's play Caryatid. That actually does give us some mana we need. Doesn't get Spell Pierced. All right, so this is good. There's a Spectral Sailor. Our opponent's in a position where they're gonna have to have a counter up. If our opponent taps out here for Curious Obsession, we win, I think. All right, there's the Curious Obsession. Well, this should mean that the Soulflayer comes down, and hopefully that wins the race. Does not have flying at the moment. Opponent gets and hits us, draws a card, has a land. Okay, Ascendant Spirit. So we can go a little greedy here, I think. Grapple with the past. All right, so what we can do, Grizzly Salvage. We should hit a land. We didn't get anything good in the graveyard though. Well, we get the land, we play the land. We run out Soulflayer. Hexproof, Lifelink, Trample, Indestructible, Haste, and whatever. Hit ya. Opponent takes it. We untap. Well, now our opponent has to find a way to stop the Soulflayer. They are drawing extra cards. Opponent goes to combat. Gets in, hits us. I mean, right now our opponent's not winning the race though. They're winning the card draw battle, but they're not winning the race. Faceless Haven. Mausoleum Wanderer. All right, opponent's just running it all out there. Oh, they get the 2 gazes. All right, this means we get to get Soulflayer back, and with some lucky milling, let's grapple with the past. Get back Soulflayer. Oh yes. That's what we wanted to see. Soulflayer. Do some exiling. Cannot Mausoleum Wanderer that. And this is a lot of damage. Opponent says, wow. Which I guess is a fair reaction. Unfortunately, this one does not have Hexproof, but it's got everything else. And opponent through the graveyard 8, the Soulflayer raids. I mean, that's a pretty good turn 4 for Pioneer. Turn 3, 4/4, Haste, Hexproof, Lifelink, Trample. Turn 4, 2 mana, double strike, flying, Haste, Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample, Vigilance. That's a lot of damage. And our opponent even had the Unlicensers. The funny thing is, The funny thing is, if they had hit the Soulflayer, it would have played around Grapple with the past, although our opponent had no... I think they made the right choice with the information that they had. Get rid of the things that control the top of our deck. They had no way of knowing that we had exactly Grapple with the past, the one card in our deck that can get Soulflayer back to our hand. They had no way of knowing that. So I don't think they punted, but their play did not work out. If they had hit the Soulflayer, none of this would have happened and they would have been in much better shape. So, all right, Soulflayer, sweet, sweet. So what did we learn this week about Fleetfoot Soulflayer Pioneer? And overall, we went 3-3 with the deck. There's another match against Blue-Black Control that was long and grindy, and they countered all of our stuff, and it was super obnoxious, so I filmed a replacement match, but the deck felt reasonably good. It's a deck that has really good and really bad matchups, depending on what's in our opponent's deck, especially what graveyard hate they have. That's the biggest issue. We saw this throughout our matches, where game one, we usually do pretty well. Like, our opponent kind of has to have counter spells to really interact with what we're doing. Otherwise, we build the crazy Soulflayer, we just win the game. On the other hand, in games 2 and games 3, once the graveyard hate comes in, then it gets a little bit more complicated. We got go blanked a bunch of times, which is really difficult to beat because we're getting discarded and our graveyard wiped. Plus, there's just random graveyard hate. There's enough graveyard decks in the Pioneer format that people are usually going to have some form of graveyard hate. We saw the Rakdos deck just eating away our graveyard ridiculously consistently. So there's some matchups where it feels really, really hard to do our thing. On the other hand, some matchups the deck feels absurd. We played against Mono Red, and we lost one of the games where our opponent just had a really good draw, but in general, it felt like they just couldn't beat us. Like, when we build the fully powered Soulflayer, when it's indestructible and hexproof and double striking and lifelinking and hasty and trampling, there's not much most decks could do. There was one time where we managed to do it and someone got us with Extinction Event. Otherwise, it's pretty much a guaranteed win, even if we're behind on board, and that's why Fleetfoot Dancer is so sweet in this deck. The combination of lifelink and haste is a really big deal against aggro, plus the Trample combines really nicely with Night Veil Predator, Trample and Death Touch, which we saw against Eldrazi deck, allowing us to trample over the huge creatures and still pick up the win. So I feel like Fleetfoot Soulflayer, it's a deck that, if you hit the right matchups, you can easily 5-0 a league. On the other hand, if you do build and start playing this deck, you're going to have some leagues where you play it and you run into a bunch of graveyard hate decks, you run into a bunch of counter spell decks, and it's going to be much more difficult. Like, I could see you hitting the bad matchups and going 0-5 in a league. So, really powerful. It does something that's almost unbeatable really quickly when things go well. On the other hand, when things go poorly, they go pretty poorly. We do have a lot of filtering to try to, like, set things up, and we had some crazy, like, late game wins to fight through counter spells, but still, when things go poorly and we're like hard cast to Night Veil Predator odd 4 or whatever, like, the deck feels a lot worse. So anyway, that's Fleetfoot Soulflayer. That's been our bunch of brew for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.